What is up, everybody, and welcome to Happy Hour Hoops After Dark. A little late night recording for probably the first time in a while, maybe the first time ever this late. The boys are recording
It's
late
not that late
Thursday
for
night,
me.
getting
See,
ready
this
for the
is
play-in tomorrow, breaking.
Central Time's the GOAT, buddy. It's only
Oh,
8
true.
o'clock. I'm chilling.
Yes. That just made me sound like an absolute weenie, but it's semi-late.
Wake up, buddy. Come on. Get a Celsius or something.
Wipe the crust out your eyes.
Those Celsiuses are fire, boys.
They're pretty good.
Some Prime Energy. I don't know, whatever's gonna sponsor us.
Let's get a sponsor.
Yeah. Steve, you know any energy drink shout outs? You got anything?
You know me. I'm an H2O guy. I'm an H2. I know 3 ads.
I prefer the H2O.
Number one,
Bobby Boucher over here.
Yeah, well, H2O. You gotta get a little water in you. Sometimes you gotta get hydrated, right? Gotta stay hydrated.
It is Happy Hour Hoops, so you guys know I came with
a little Land Shark Lager.
Of course.
Funny story. My uncle, former college basketball player himself. Funny enough, actually, with our guy Stan Van Gundy. Look it up, Lemoyne University, Lemoyne College. Little shout out. I'll give him a shout out. But we had Easter Sunday back home. And sorry, not big old Stan, Jeff. Ball Jeff, not Stan.
Gotcha.
Did an Easter egg hunt. Just wanted to get rid of all the beer in his fridge, so just hid beer around the house, around the yard.
Hell yeah.
That's a good hunt.
We got some beers.
Nice.
Shout out, happy Easter. Happy Passover, whatever. We got hoops.
Happy playing, dude, because we have games.
That is the real holiday. That's true.
Yeah, we're recording Thursday night here. We have games tomorrow night. We had games last night, and the play-in hasn't disappointed so far. We'll start. We're gonna preview the Friday night games to start, and then we'll kind of get no news and notes tonight. We'll preview the games for tomorrow night, and then we'll just look ahead to the West and East playoff matchups that are already set up. And yeah, let's get into Bulls Heat preview, because as we know, the Bulls won a pretty crazy game against the Toronto Raptors.
Best game of the play-in.
I think what a game.
I enjoyed that one the most for sure. Down 19, I believe, at one point. DeMar DeRozan's daughter screaming at the top of her lungs.
Incredible.
Just making the Raptors players miss shots left and right. I know Big Cat had the stat on the Yak today from Barstool Sports, but I can't remember. He said he got it from somewhere when they were recording PMT. So I'm sorry for who originally had the stat, but in an elimination basketball game, so like any brink of elimination in the playoffs, play-in game, any elimination game, that's the worst free throw percentage by a team since the 60s.
It's crazy.
That's what the Toronto Raptors did. They missed 18 free throws. Chicago Bulls, crazy comeback. Zach LaVine, Pat Bev, DeMar DeRozan all made huge plays down the stretch. Patrick Williams playing some great defense. And Toronto is sent home, and Chicago is moving on to play Miami. What were you guys' just initial thoughts when the game ended? I was impressed by Chicago, honestly.
Yeah. I was impressed by Chicago. The first thing that was crazy, Dunny, is I didn't realize how bad Toronto was shooting from the free throw line until the end of the game. And everyone's going to talk about DeMar's daughter and everything. And they're talking about Toronto didn't make their freebies. Zach LaVine willed the Bulls to this win. And this was something we had talked about in the previous episode where like LaVine has been playing so good in the second half of this year post All-Star break. He's really taking over as the guy over DeMar, where last year was DeMar was 1A, he was 1B. This year it looks like those roles have been flopped where LaVine's 1A, DeMar's 1B. And Zach LaVine took over this game. And yes, the box score will show you one thing. It'll show you how he shot. It will show you at 39 points, whatever. That doesn't matter to me. It was the types of looks that Zach LaVine was making. You look at the start of this game, and I think this guy's still one of the most underrated players in basketball. Pascal Siakam was getting pretty much whatever he wanted against the Chicago.
He was awesome.
Mid-range, driving to the lane, shooting it from the outside, or just facilitating. Pascal Siakam was getting whatever he wanted.
I don't think he missed a mid-range.
I don't either. It was a mid-range if he stepped back a little bit. It was if he did the turnaround he was not missing. And
shooting over the smaller guys, everything.
Zach LaVine started this game kind of cold. If you remember the first quarter, he had a couple easy layups there, but nothing was really falling for him from outside. He had a couple really stupid turnovers. There's one play just stepped out of bounds. He had a travel. He had a bad pass. And I was worried. I was like, oh boy, here we go. The Bulls again. They can't find a guy to step up in these big moments for him. Zach LaVine in that third quarter was doing in the first half. He got whatever he wanted, whether he was driving, whether he was taking those tough pull-up mid-range jumpers with a guy in his face, if he was shooting from the outside. And he did it with Toronto's best defenders on him for pretty much the entirety of the second half. Anunoby was guarding him. Scotty Barnes was guarding him. It did not matter. Zach LaVine was incredible. I got to give a shout out to Zach LaVine. He stepped up as a true superstar in the second half of that game, and he really willed the Bulls back because you could tell he kind of took the life out of that building. Yes, DeMar's daughter was hilarious or whatnot at the free throw line, but when the Bulls really needed some offense, they were just relying on Zach LaVine in that third quarter, start of the fourth, and he delivered. And not only was it his scoring as well, Zach LaVine was setting his teammates up too, whether it was the initial assist from him or just passing guys to get them open. The one pass I remember when DeMar's cut into the lane and he got the dunk to eventually take the lead. I mean, a great no-look pass there by LaVine. I was super impressed, and it was one thing I didn't know if we'd see carry over from the regular season to the playoffs. Dude, I mean, he looked like a superstar, and this is the Zach LaVine that we've been seeing this entire second half of the year, and it really showed up when it mattered most.
Yeah, he was incredible last night.
I mean, yeah, just and it felt like, I don't know about you guys. I don't know if you thought they were dead in the water there in the second half, but the way they've been playing this whole run, especially since Beverly joined and the defense has really been cranked up and everything, it just felt like that game was going to get close at some point. And for whatever reason, Toronto being so tight, and I think something that I didn't really think about, and honestly what made me worry about the Bulls going into that game, because Michael Wilbon, I think, said before the game, they were talking a little bit before, and he was like, there was all the rumors about them blowing it up. I think this is going to be the last run, and I don't think they're going to be able to pull it together. And I was like, that's interesting, because Wilbon's obviously a Bulls fan from Chicago. Like, if he has that vibe, maybe I'm reading it wrong, and they're like, this is just all fool's gold and everything else. But the Raptors are kind of the same deal too. We know the Raptors are going to be different next year, no matter out of this too. Yeah. And if they look like the team that just gave up, they look like the team that couldn't come together in the moment of adversity, missing free throws, casual mistakes, letting the Bulls back into that game. And the Bulls looked like the team that didn't want to die and wanted to fight and stay together, which was interesting because I didn't think about it from the Raptors perspective like that either.
I will say too, and you can put the blame on Pascal if you want, because he had those 3 free throws to tie it. He missed 2 of them at the end.
You can't blame him though with the game he played.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. Pascal got no help all game. So if outside looking in, if people want to put the blame on him for those free throws, I don't think that's fair, because he literally was the reason they had the huge lead in the first half, and he was the reason they were still fighting in the second half. No one was helping him. I mean, Van Fleet would bail him out with a few crazy shots. Obviously,
I was going to say, you got to give Van Fleet credit, because he was a monster on the boards too, and he's so undersized. Van Fleet played a hell of a game. You can't discredit that.
That shot at the end of the half
was sick. That was sick.
Crazy, dude.
But it just seemed like if they weren't able to get down the stretch when the Bulls were thriving and they were chipping away at that lead, if they couldn't get it to Pascal and he couldn't get his shot, they just had no offense. And it was like, and they were settling for like OG Anunoby contested threes. They were settling for Scotty contested threes on some possessions, which is like, you'll let those guys shoot. Those guys can both play, but the way the game was going, you had to play through Pascal, and it just didn't seem like they were getting enough from everyone else. And I think the size of Patrick Williams and Vooch ended up being an issue for them. Like Pirtle is big, but we talked about this, I think, earlier this week. The Raptors don't have great size after Pascal, and Pascal doesn't play big. That's been his one weakness always. If he gets someone who's willing to challenge him size-wise, he kind of shuts down. Obviously, he didn't shut down last night, but the size of the Raptors in general was an issue.
And the Bulls comeback was all in the paint. It was like, it wasn't outside shots.
They started attacking the rim.
They just went at the rim, and the Raptors couldn't do anything. It was either you're going to the line or we're just gonna eat. And that was, I mean, LaVine as much as anybody else. But yeah, like you're saying, there was no answer inside. And once the Bulls figured that out, like that's what you get in these playoff scenarios. They're just gonna go after it, and it's gonna be the best guys going after it over and over again. And you have to come up with an answer at some point. And you know what, Raptors fans, they got bailed out even at the end too. They choked that thing, and they still had.
Yeah, that was not a shooting foul.
No, it was not a shooting foul at all. That was an outrageous call to be a shooting foul.
Especially they overturned it to a shooting foul, which was crazy.
Which is even crazier. But I think the biggest thing too, and this is kind of what we've been saying has been the biggest, I guess, weakness or kind of why we don't always buy into the Raptors. They just don't have depth. They just don't have enough depth.
No.
Like, I get it. Like, Pascal, I thought, played a great game. I thought Fred VanVleet was incredible, just everything he could do. Yeah, he's got a little cold shooting towards the end, but he was making some big-time shots. And Scotty Barnes, Scotty was fine. OG was fine. Like, they were okay. But these guys were all on the court for 40 to 42 minutes last night. Gary Trent is the only guy who came off their bench with double-digit minutes, and they just didn't have any answer for the Bulls' run because their guys were gassed. They were so fatigued at the end of this game, and I talk about it all the time in the playoffs. You got to have some form of depth. That's why the teams that can get these other guards and get these other forwards and just to give their stars a little bit of rest before the fourth, that's what matters the most. You saw Zach LaVine stepped out for about 5 minutes in that second half for a little bit, and it really helped when he came back on the court. Like, the Bulls did a really good job of kind of staggering DeRozan and LaVine a little bit when they needed to for the runs. And meanwhile, the Raptors couldn't take one of their guys off because the moment they did, the Bulls would go on a run. I think they tried to take Pascal out for like 2 minutes. There's a 9-0 run for the Bulls in like 2 minutes. Like, you just
didn't generate anything outside of Pascal.
Exactly, that's
the next thing we need from Scotty Barnes for sure.
I think Scotty's really got to develop his outside shot. I think he was 27% from three this year. He did hit a three in this game, but it's just not really a threat out there. And when you're not really a threat out there, you can't really stretch the defense. And when the Bulls, who've been playing such good defense since the break, since the Pat Beverly trade, you have to at least try to stretch them a little bit. And the reason I think we saw the big Bulls come back, the Raptors were just getting bailed out by VanVleet crazy threes in the first half. They're not a great shooting team. They've never been a great outside shooting team. VanVleet kind of bails him out a little bit in the second half. He comes back down to earth. They don't really have any outside shooting, and it's like, all right, it's either Siakam's going to just make these outrageous mid-ranges or we have no offense.
Which he did for a while.
Exactly. And you saw the flip-flop, I think. In the first half, you saw the Bulls play a lot of guys standing around. Felt like iso ball, or they'd have one guy come off a screen, pass it to LaVine or DeRozan, whoever came off the screen, and then they're just playing iso. In the second half,
it was way too much DeRozan, honestly.
And they're like, we're just going to attack the rim. We're not going to try to play this street ball. When the Raptors in the second half were like, all right, we're going to give it to Pascal and it's going to go through him and we're just going to see what happens. And the Bulls were like, okay, we know you won't continue shooting like that. We're going to leave these guys open and make Pascal make a play. And you just saw that when the Bulls had the momentum, the Raptors just had no answers because they just couldn't get any help and their stars were fatigued.
Well, and going to tomorrow's game about Miami, we haven't touched on Miami yet at all. Their biggest issue, Atlanta moving on. We'll talk about Atlanta a little bit when we talk about their upcoming series with Dunny's Boston Celtics. But Miami, their offense just was non-existent for four quarters. Basically, for little spurts here and there to kind of keep them back in the game. They got it back within 4 and 3 and get within a couple possessions and everything else. But Atlanta controlled that game the whole way. And really, you looked at the tail of the tape before the game. It was like, well, we think that Miami's defense can turn up, right? Like that's what we all assumed. Miami's defense is just going to turn up and Atlanta's not going to have any answers. And what did Atlanta do? Had all the answers. Everybody was fucking cooking on that team. Their whole roster, and that's what Atlanta is at their best. They have like 6 or 7 guys that can really be lethal scorers on the right night when things are working. And we know that Quinn Snyder's offense is lethal. He had one of the best offenses in the NBA, if not, I think statistically one year the best offense in the NBA with Rudy Gobert on the team. That is amazing by Quinn. So they're a great offensive team, and it was more than what that Miami could offer, but I don't think as much as Miami's defense is that their offense doesn't offer shit. So what are they going to do against?
And Miami didn't look like they wanted it. The craziest stat
when the crowd wasn't there,
Atlanta out-rebounded them by 24. They had 63 rebounds against the Miami Heat. It was like, and when you look at that, outside of Capella, I'm like, Miami should have their like advantage on the glass in this game. They were out-rebounded by 24. Miami just looked like they didn't want it. And I think when we'll touch on, when we do predictions for the game coming up here, we'll get more into it. But there's no way Miami can play that bad again, right? I know they're Jimmy Butler, an off game for him. Bam, played terrible. But
Butler guaranteed to win.
Does that happen again? Does that happen again? I see it's, and especially in Miami too. It's so hard for me. I want Chicago to win. I think Chicago looked.
They better
much
be popping.
In their fans than Miami did, but there's no way Miami plays like that again.
They better show up, bro. There was nobody there. You could see seats. Like
it's a weekday in Miami. They got better things.
It's Friday night. It's Friday night. Chicago's in town. Like, come on, like get that place packed, white hot. Get a whiteout going. They need that atmosphere because Chicago now, like with confidence coming in, I don't think they're scared of Miami. I think the tougher game they think for them was probably last night. Now they're playing.
I don't think they're scared of Miami. And like, think about this too. Kyle Lowry was by far the best player for the Heat.
By far.
And when was the last time we saw that? Like, Kyle Lowry is not going to repeat that against the Chicago Bulls. So they better hope Jimmy shows up, because otherwise they had zero off. If Lowry didn't play like that, he was literally hitting every single shot he took. I think he had 33 points.
Yeah.
If Kyle Lowry doesn't play like that, I mean, they get blown out by the Atlanta Hawks. And it was already a super lopsided game.
Yeah. And
as much as, Steve, you brought up the rebounding thing for the Miami Heat, I don't think Chicago has great size up and down the lineup, but Patrick Williams and Vucevic will bother the Miami Heat at some point in that game.
Yeah.
Bam. We've been saying it. Everyone else says it.
Man.
Bam can't be a forward playing center for much longer if the Miami Heat wants great success.
I think this has to be Bam's make it or break it game here. You have to believe Vucevic. You have to. You have no other options. You match up so well against this guy. This is where Bam needs to be aggressive and take 20-plus shots. He has to.
And Patrick Williams, like, he's not bad, man. He's been making plays. And I think he's going to bother the Miami Heat as well, because Kevin Love gets in the game. I'm taking Patrick Williams in that matchup, rebounding and everything else considered. Like, Miami looked very off too. Like, I think Strus will probably hit more shots next game. I think Hero hit his open shots, but he didn't really get going as much as I thought he might in that game. But we'll see. Like, right now, just judging off like vibes of both teams and how they both played their first playing games, I lean Bulls right now. It's going to be hard to think that way once, like you guys mentioned, like once I see the Miami crowd, once I see the look in Jimmy's eyes, I'll probably change my mind. But going off the first two, these teams' first games, I like the Bulls.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Bulls look much more impressive in their playing game. To me, Dunny, though, it's just a matter of Miami can't look worse. And I know when Miami's on their game, they match up well. They have the home court advantage. And another thing, too, which was crazy in the Hawks game, Miami, who usually plays a decent amount of guys off the bench, it was just Kyle Lowry and Martin. Like Kevin Love was a non-factor. Victor Oladipo was a non-factor. I think we at least see those guys maybe get a little more run against Chicago. Miami maybe tries to use their depth a little more. And one thing, when Jimmy Butler speaks his mind, if he guarantees a win, I'll go with Jimmy Butler there. I think the Bulls had a great emotional comeback win, but I look at the matchups here, and the big one for me is Bam against Vucevic. Bam played terrible against the Hawks, but it was against Clint Capella. What does Clint Capella do well? Play defense and get boards. That's all Clint Capella can do, but he does it very, very well. What does Vucevic do well? It shoots a little bit, scores on offense. What does he do poorly? Any type of defense. And that's something Bam can't expose if Bam wants to play aggressive. So that's where I lean Miami. I think we're going to see them kind of come back to earth a little bit, where Jimmy Butler and Bam are going to play much better than they did.
The Bulls were like ignoring Vooch at like important times too. There was one time where I texted you guys where DeRozan had Vooch open in the corner for so long. He just ignores him, dumps it down to Pat Williams. He misses it. They end up getting a shot clock violation, and Vooch just sadly hits the shot like after the buzzer. Like he'd just been sitting there in that set shot motion for so long. But there were so many times where they were just looking him off in the corner and everything else. So definitely something to monitor in this game going. I thought the Bulls were going to beat the Hawks, so I'm not too worried about picking them in this game. I'm still going to go with them, just with the way Miami looked, and I'm ready to stomp out Miami. Like I'm ready to jump on there and jump on them if they miss the playoffs. But I like that. I could see Bam, Jimmy backs against the wall, just being like, "Nah, we're not doing this at home. Tonight. We're doing this."
I feel, and I hate it.
It's going to be hard. It's going to be an awesome. I hate it. But here's the thing: is Chicago playing Milwaukee? We saw that story last year, guys.
I didn't like that story. We didn't like that story. It was a short story.
I left the playoff game like halfway through the fourth quarter. That's not good. That's not good.
It's a really short story. Yeah, I don't know if anyone wants to see that again. Yeah, even Chicago fans. I think Chicago fans are like, "Hey, would you rather lose a tough game to the Heat beat the Heat and get swept by the Bucks?"
What happens if Pat wins tomorrow night? If he wins another play-in game?
Dude,
he's playing Pat Bev. He's undefeated.
Biggest party in Miami ever, man.
Pat Bev versus Drew would be fun. That would be fun.
Oh, Pat! Now put him on Giannis. Fuck it. Let's get crazy.
No, because we saw what happened when they put him on Siakam for a little bit. When they got that switch, Siakam's just like, I'm 8 inches taller than you. Yeah.
Okay, so at this point, we're laughing about Chicago going up against Milwaukee. So I had the question here, but you guys seem like you'd be fairly more confident in Miami going against Milwaukee.
I'm not confident in either, but maybe Miami gets a game.
But
I think Milwaukee cruises through either teams. Milwaukee is just a better version of the Heat, the way they're built.
Yeah.
I got Bucks in 5 no matter what.
Yes, I agree with that. I actually weirdly think Chicago matches up a little better though
than Miami.
Yes, and a lot of it has to do with the size. Where I was talking about Patrick Williams and Vooch. I think Brook Lopez is a problem for a lot of teams. If Vooch actually plays big and can stretch Brook out, because Vooch is a great outside shooter, if he can get him out of the paint, you have wing players like DeRozan and Zach LaVine.
Let me ask you this: is LaVine just the best player like available on these two teams to go after them? Like LaVine more likely to
go at the Bucks?
Is he more likely to take over a game against Milwaukee than Jimmy would be? Do you think? I think. So. I think.
So. I think he has a deeper bag. I think he has a deeper bag than Jimmy. I think Jimmy's a more proven winner. But at this point, it just like we said, if we're going off the 2 games we've seen already, the Bulls look like they have more fight in them than Miami does. And I just think the wing talent on offense of DeRozan and LaVine could give some of the bench guys on the Bucks that we talked about a few weeks ago. I think it could give them fits. Like I think if guys like Connaughton, Ingles, Crowder, even Middleton try to keep up with DeRozan and LaVine for a game, it could be tiring. Obviously, none of these teams have an answer for Giannis, and I agree with you guys. Like it's probably only a 5-game series. I just think the Bulls would fare a little better. And it sounds crazy because we saw the results last year. It did not fare well for them at all.
No, not at all.
But they as much as this is like almost the same team, they seem to play a little bit differently this year.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters all that much. I wanted to see where you guys are at with that. I lean Bulls, but I mean, we could very well see Miami, Milwaukee 1-8 matchup and it be a sweep. We could see Bulls, Milwaukee, and it be a sweep. So
yeah,
I think it's Milwaukee and 5 at the most.
5 at the
for
most.
Either team.
As a Cavs fan, I hope they get pushed to 7 or something. That'd be great.
Me too, Jake.
I mean, yeah, it'd be cool. I don't see that.
That's what
I don't think my Milwaukee has either problems against either team at all.
I don't think so.
All right, so we'll keep a lookout for that. Bulls Heat should be interesting tomorrow night. The late game last night was very fun. The Thunder
Very fun.
beat the Pelicans, sent them home. Let's get this out of the way. Do the Thunder have a big 3 without Chet Holmgren? Do they have a big 3 with Giddey, Dort, and SGA? Because they those
have a
three.
big
2.5. I'll go 2.5. Dort's
Okay.
not a big 3
I
yet.
can't give
We
it to
love
Dort either yet. But
We
Dort
love
is,
Dort.
27 points and
Dort is
5
everything
rebounds.
we
Dort is
love.
like thick J.R. Smith. That's what he is at this point. Like,
Dude,
dude
he
can go
guards-
off and
he
play
guards
like
the
a
best
star.
player.
He guards well. He can shoot the outside. Other than that, he's a little limited offensively, but Dort's fun. And
I hit,
that's the biggest thing with this Thunder team. They're fun, dude. It's a fun
Red-
team.
I have a new nickname for Dort.
What is that?
When he's hitting his outside shot, we're gonna start calling him Red Dort Sight.
Red Dort sight. That's awesome. Dort last night when he was at 14 points to score 25 and OKC to win was plus 600, and I put like $2 on that, but it was still a nice. It was still a nice $12 win there because
That's a big win.
Dort had
That's a big win.
25. Dort had 25 at like 2 minutes into the third quarter. Like he was.
I
just
know the
fucking
fact he only
cooking,
ended with
bro.
27 is crazy.
I know that's what I was like. Good thing he kept going, but Giddey and SGA, the basketball IQ on Josh Giddey and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is what makes them. I mean, they're physically talented, obviously gifted basketball skills, everything else, but the IQ that they both have is otherworldly. You know what I've noticed about Josh Giddey watching him? Has Josh Giddey ever misplaced a pass? Like, has Josh Giddey ever put a pass somewhere that is not absolutely perfect? That inbound last night to SGA at the end of the game when it goes to 3, literally, there were 2 guys there, and he put it in between 2 people into SGA's hands so effortlessly and so quickly in a spot where you'd see a guy usually like running up and down the sidelines, like chucking a ball, like whatever. Like, and that's just one thing. He is pinpoint. He's one of the best playmakers, best guy, like some of the best vision in the NBA, and he's only going to get better. This team is fucking terrifying at least for the West. Going to be great for us, but to enjoy. But for the West, I would be horrified watching the Thunder, especially with all those picks that can get moved for
all those picks
at any time.
They have money to probably get someone, and the biggest thing is they still have Chet coming back. And it's like this is a team that has so many options, and it's one of those things where you look at like teams that had some of the best rookie classes, so to speak, right? Guys that have been playing well. Indiana's one that obviously will jump out because they had Nembhard and they had Mather, and obviously Orlando with Banchero, Sacramento. You did a couple teams had a couple good rookies. You look at Detroit, another one with Jaden Ivey and Durant. You look at Oklahoma City, the Jalen Williams and Jalen Williams have both been sensational for them this year. Jalen with the Jalen out of Santa Clara has been quietly first-team all-rookie good this year. And then you have Jalen Williams from Arkansas, who's just one of those stretch forwards that is another guy who can play some great defense. He can shoot a little bit from the outside. I wish he would shoot more. He's not as aggressive offensively right now. But 2 guys that have both been comfortable playing starter minutes for a team that was up. I think it was a 0.1% chance to make the playoffs at the beginning of the year. And you have this super young team. SGA obviously made the leap. Josh Giddey's been incredible. But the Thunder team would not be here without the 2 rookies, Williams and Williams. So both the Jalen Williams has really, really helped them. And It'll be interesting to see because I think when we look at Thunder and T-Wolves, the biggest thing that jumps out to me is all the size, right? You're going to have to deal with Karl Anthony Towns. You're going to have to deal with Rudy Gobert. You're undersized. It hasn't stopped the Thunder yet. And if they play small like they do, where I think Jalen Williams, J-A-Y, Lynn Williams from Arkansas, I think 6'9". I think he's the biggest guy that they start at 6'9".
He started the game at center last night.
Gobert's not going to be a factor. He's not going to be a factor because once again, he's going to have to play outside of the paint defensively. Like they will shoot the ball. All 5 on the Thunder will shoot. What's crazy, the one who's probably most reluctant to shoot the 3 is the point guard SGA, their best player. And so it's like these guys will shoot, and I think it almost plays an advantage. Yeah, you look at the size mismatch for the T-Wolves. I think it plays an advantage for the Thunder. Like, hey, we're going to play small in either Minnesota. You can't play Gobert and Towns on the court at the same time, or you're going to just have to write Gobert out of this completely. Because what are they going to do? Are they going to try to stagger it when Towns needs a little bit of a rest? Gobert comes in, and then your whole offense changes? Or are you going to let Towns try to play a lot more offensively like he did a little bit against the Lakers, which I think is the right way to go? I think that's the biggest mismatch in this game. But if the Thunder play small, like the Timberwolves can't play how they're comfortable playing right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd be comfortable sitting Rudy Gobert. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I know you would, but I'm saying like in the T-Wolves' mind,
like what the fuck do you do? Your best combination right now, not for the future. Who knows? But that they're married at this point, so they got to make it work. But for tomorrow against that team, he's not the best option. He's gonna want to come back with a force. And what is? I don't know. It's just gonna be the vibes. Off, man. I need Thunder Nuggets. I need the chaos.
I need Thunder Nuggets. You know what else is crazy too is Anthony Edwards is probably going to be seeing a lot of the torture chamber.
Is he hurt?
Yes, he is.
Is he hurt?
Yes.
That was bad. It was
really a bad game. It was a bad game. I'm not going to say he was hurt. I just think.
Or is that just the torture chamber of the Los Angeles Lakers that they ran into?
Okay.
Yeah, but now he has to go against the torture chamber, which is even worse.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what the crazy thing about all this is? He's been out for a while, but like the Oklahoma City Thunder not only have Chet on the bench, they have Pokashevsky, who is a super, super underrated, just kind of can do a little bit of everything for this team. Like, I feel like he's an important guy to this squad. He can shoot. He gives them more size, which they definitely lack, obviously, without Chet. But just like, I mean, we're talking about, they played Jalen Williams to start the game at the 5, and he's 6'9". And they're going against 2 7-footers tomorrow
at Arkansas.
And I don't really think there's a guy who the T-Wolves give a lot of minutes to that can really check SGA. So I think he's going to have his way again. I think if Dort and Giddey are on their game as much as they were the other night, I think I'm rolling Thunder. And that's what I want to see. I think the Thunder, I don't think it's kind of the same thing. It's like, I don't think either of those Eastern Conference teams will give the Bucks any fits. I don't think either of these teams will give the Nuggets any fits. But I think the Thunder could bother the Denver Nuggets a little bit.
You don't think it could be? What about the remember Kobe Bogut Lakers, early Thunder, Durant, Russ.
Yes.
They take him to 6 games, and that's when the Lakers win in 6. But the Thunder, it's like, oh shit, the Thunder, they were scrappy. That was a fun series. I feel like this Thunder team could do that to the Nuggets because the Nuggets aren't going to be able. What are the Nuggets going to be able to do to guard the Thunder?
Yeah, but there's no KD on this Thunder team.
Yeah, I mean,
no, there's not.
No, there's not. But the big thing is, I think with the difference between obviously the Thunder playing the T-Wolves, if the Thunder beat the T-Wolves and play the Nuggets, Jokic is gonna feast. He's gonna feast against the city. Yeah, defensively, he'll get him a few times. But Jokic will feast, and that's why I told you guys dream scenario. Thunder beat T-Wolves, and before Game 1, we get a sham bomb where Chet Holmgren may play this series or may suit up for Game 1. I don't think that'll happen. I would love it if it did.
Chet plays before Zion, that would be crazy.
Okay, don't count that out.
I have to mention
Don't count that out. But who do you think would give the Nuggets a better series? Because we talked about it with Bulls Heat. Would it be the T-Wolves a better series with the Nuggets? Because they got the size against the Nuggets.
I want to see Thunder.
Not without McDaniels.
I unfortunately think it's T-Wolves just
T-Wolves
purely because of Cat and Gobert alone.
I do too.
And like, not that Gobert's, say what you want. I think he's probably a net negative to have on the court in any playoff series. I truly believe that. But I mean, if we're talking about your starting center 6'9" for the Thunder, or a multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year winner in Rudy Gobert, who can at least bother Jokic for a series, and then Cat, who Jokic has to deal with on the other end.
Right.
And we know the Denver Nuggets do not have any good defenders in their starting five. Someone has to cover Anthony Edwards. It's just obviously someone would have to cover SGA as well. I don't know. I just think matchup-wise, the T-Wolves have an edge, but I want to see the Thunder. I want it to be the Thunder.
I'm right there with you. I'm rooting for the Thunder. I want it to be the Thunder. I think the T-Wolves would give the Nuggets a better series. But regardless, I think either team
Nuggets should
push it to
them.
6.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
The
think
Nuggets
they could.
should.
They should.
You think either team could push 6?
I think either team could push 6.
I think either team could push 6 too, but I think the Nuggets.
I think Nuggets should sweep them, but I think either team could push 6, and it could just be a simple thing. It's like, they shot really well today against the Nuggets.
Those will probably be the bets I make, are either Nuggets in 4 or Nuggets in 6 against either of these teams once they're up. I think that's like the only two ways, because either they're just torching both these teams. They can't even. They have no answers. Because it is interesting. I wasn't thinking about Cat giving Jokic any problems, because I just think Jokic is going to torch both whoever they put on it. Without Jaden McDaniels, if Jaden McDaniels was playing, I don't even know if the Wolves would have lost if he played. If they didn't get hurt, whatever. Yeah. Did he get hurt during the game? See, I don't remember. That whole fourth quarter was.
Yeah, he got hurt
during the game, right?
During the game.
Yeah.
No, he got hurt in the end of. He got hurt in their last
regular season
game. Yes. Thank you. They're not going to have as many options to throw at Jokic if Gobert doesn't work right away, and Cat's not the answer. And then
he's not the answer, but he's at least a big body.
Right? But the Thunder don't have any options. So whatever. Like we said, the Nuggets. We're all in agreement. The Nuggets should take it.
Yeah,
I think I'm back with you guys. I think the T-Wolves, like, they can hit a higher ceiling right now. But man, the Thunder,
they're fun. Thunder are fun. Let's root for the Thunder.
Let's talk about the legit losers, the people who actually lost last night, and the people who, or the team who I have no idea what this squad's gonna look like last year. Briefly, we don't have to go into too much depth, but the Pelicans, man, what the hell was that? CJ McCollum playing 40-plus minutes, only giving you 14 points. B.I. did his thing, right? We knew going into the game. Yeah. He gave 30.
Herb
he probably
was good.
Who?
Herb was really good defensively.
He's always solid,
against SGA. He actually scored a little bit for him.
Yeah, it's just like I have it as my little thing here. If you're watching on YouTube, under my Twitter handle, I have Zion is weird, because that whole situation is the strangest thing ever. He went out with in January with a hamstring injury, and whatever, dude. If you are not healthy, fine. But he said, he's saying in interviews that he feels fine, but like mentally, he doesn't feel like he can play.
Yeah.
And it's just Jake, I thought, I didn't know how close to the mark you were last week or earlier this week when you were saying, is he just holding out? Like, does he not want to be in NOLA?
That's my only thought.
Because I it makes so much sense now. Like, it just, those interviews he had earlier this week just sounds exactly that. And it sounds like he does not want to be in NOLA.
Weren't the issues before that he had with the training staff and everything else those were the issues? He didn't trust them. He was getting his own opinions, everything else. So if he's just at a point where he's like, I don't trust these people to nurse me back to health, how do you even come back from that? Like, what does he mean by that? He doesn't trust? Like, is it just a personal thing that is it like a Ben Simmons situation where he just is gonna, like, if it's a Simmons situation, then we really need to look at what is happening with like high draft picks that are sent to these situations that are, less than ideal for the player, where there's so much put on them to save these franchises, and all this pressure is put on them because at this point, it could be two guys that crumbled under it for whatever reasons. Maybe it's just these two cases. Maybe it's something that organizations need to fucking figure out and not try to lose, for years and years with these guys coming on. But with Zion, I am, the radar's just up because he's mentioned, having the big eyes for New York and thinking that he was going to get drafted there and just all these things. And I don't know. Maybe he's the star that asked for the trade. Like there's going to be we always know there's the surprise star that's going to ask for the trade. It was KD twice this year. Somehow it's going to be somebody different. Maybe it's KD again. Who fucking knows?
He's, at least for me, man, like, and I don't hope because like it's kind of lame if that is the case. If he is good and he doesn't want to play a play-in, like that was literally the season for the Pelicans last night. And if we find out he was, cleared by doctors, ready to go, and he just didn't want to be out there, I don't like that. And the Pelicans shouldn't like that. And if that is the case, he's probably not going to be a Pelican.
Well, what are the guys think too? Like you're seeing him sit there and everything. Like you just wonder.
Bi was fighting for his life the second half of the season,
and he has been his whole fucking career, dude. That guy's got to be tired of this shit. Like, yeah.
And it's just like Zion is getting dangerously close to the B word, man. He's getting dangerously close to that bust category. And I don't,
and he's on the court.
That's what I mean. But he's like doing it to himself, right? Like I'm treading lightly right now because I don't want to put him in that category. But at this point, it's like if he does this for another year, if he does,
but this is also I'm with you here, Dunny, because at the beginning of the year we were like, this team could be the 1 seed, like they might be.
Right?
Like, I was ready to like put them in finals picks and everything else.
It was oh my god, it was so many people were the dark horse Pelicans. This is my dark horse team, the New Orleans Pelicans. They play defense. They have Zion. They have Bi. They have McCollum. They didn't have Zion. They didn't have Zion all year, and it's like we see what he does. He plays bully ball. He's a freak of nature when he's out there. But what have you done for me lately, Zion?
Sure.
Nada.
Yeah.
So I don't mean to, just completely dump on the Pelicans' head right there, but
no, but it's the thing that they're talking about.
That is a sad way to go out. It's a sad way to go
out. The Raptors are worse though, man. Raptors they're blowing it up. Like that's a coach that we talked about.
We kind of assumed it was coming though, right?
Van Vliet probably gone, gonna sign somewhere.
A lot of guys we like in the Raptors just hasn't worked.
Your Mavericks right there, Fred Van Vliet.
No, not Van Vliet. No, stop.
What do you OG Anunoby?
I take OG. I take OG easily. I take OG. I wanted Pascal. That's the one to make the trade for, not Kyrie Irving at the time. I'm not.
It obviously hasn't been reported, and this is just kind of satire, but I wouldn't be surprised if Gary Trent Jr. is just already off the team.
No,
I think everybody on that roster was gone, but Pascal and Scotty Barnes.
So you got it. You don't think they try to go full rebuild and get like a package for Pascal?
Maybe he is the star that goes.
He's just been so good to
them.
He is
a perfect Warriors package pick. I
don't
think.
Put him on the Warriors.
Clay, Steph, and Pascal.
Yeah, no, that's great. Don't put him there though. Give him somewhere else. Warriors don't need him.
In my life. I mean, I'm kind of sad that I just put that in the universe, but it would be beautiful. Yeah, it would be beautiful basketball.
We'll see with Pascal. Honestly, I was going to start with the West, but now that we're talking Pascal and the Raptors, let's start with a little East preview here.
We got to make our picks.
Yeah,
and NBA Finals picks. You guys better be ready because I've thought long and hard. I had an epiphany. I had an epiphany over the weekend. It hit me. I was walking by the lake back home, Lake Erie, and I saw a vision. It just came to me of how the finals will end.
It's going to be crazy, isn't it?
It's not the Cavs. I did not. The Cavs were not involved in this.
Lakers Cavs.
If it's Lakers Cavs, I win no matter what.
That would be the most predictable vision of all time.
Lakers Cavs game 1, I'm gonna be celebrating. I'm popping champagne the second they tip off.
Yeah,
I'm like, let's fucking go. We won.
Yeah, no, Jake couldn't lose in that scenario. Jake looked into his LeBron James snow globe and saw that finals match.
This is like I got roasted. One of my friends roasted me back home because I tweeted a couple weeks ago about my 4 favorite baseball teams, and he was so mad. He was just roasting. I was like, "What do you mean, bro? One day it's that team, one day it's the other. I win most of the time."
Yeah, fair enough.
No. That is not the NBA Finals. It is a real
All right.
Actual
Well,
non-biased
All right,
prediction.
We'll
see.
climb through both conferences right now, and we'll get to the bottom of it. Starting with the East. Yeah, we can if we want to get into the 1-8 matchups more. We kind of we tried to preview them in the play-in because obviously they're not set yet. We're recording this Thursday night to reiterate. But yeah, let's start in the Eastern
The
Conference.
one seeds are winning. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think we talked about it enough a little bit in each time. I
Yeah.
think more so the Eastern one than the Western. We already talked about the Eastern. We just said the Bucks. The Bucks
Nuggets
are
and
going to
Bucks.
dominate either team.
If they
Should
lose,
advance.
Yeah.
they don't like.
I think
Nuggets.
like I said, I think the Nuggets won either team. I think T-Wolves probably more so than the Thunder could maybe steal a game or two. The Bucks, I would be shocked if it goes more than 5 at either team. Bulls or Heat, I would be shocked if it goes past 5 games.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I agree. All right, let's start here. Boston Celtics, Atlanta Hawks.
Easy.
In my humble opinion, as the Celtics fan on this podcast, I think it's going to be a gentleman's sweep. I think the Hawks grab one in Atlanta.
You're being too humble. Celtics will win in 3, and then the 4th game will be they're playing their backups because the Hawks have already phoned it in with 3 guys basically resting for next season. No team matches up better against the Hawks than I think the Celtics do. The Hawks are going to really have no answer. They're going to have no answers to stop the Celtics. I really don't think so. I mean,
Yeah.
DeJounte Murray, yeah, he can get a couple steals here, but what's he going to do? You're going to guard JB? JB's just too big. Jason Tatum and DeAndre Hunter, stop it. That's not going to happen. And then the Celtics have too much guard depth, and the opposite. The Hawks don't really have much guard depth at all. Clint Capella's just kind of odd man out because he just doesn't really fit in if the Celtics want to play smaller. And if he does, they could just play Rob Will. I like the Celtics big here. I think the Celtics a much better matchup for the Celtics than if they were to get, let's say, the Heat, if the Heat did.
Oh my
end up
God,
beating
dude.
the Hawks. So I think
Huge
the Celtics,
sigh of relief for
big
Celtics
sigh of
fans.
relief for Celtics fans. I think the Celtics clean up the Hawks. I don't see it being close.
Let me ask you this then, Steve. What do you think of the Celtics opening up as a 9-point favorite in Game 1? You think that's light work? I was kind of surprised by that line, honestly.
I hate laying spreads in playoff games, especially with favorites, because at the end of the day, they're just going to want to win. So sometimes I like to pick a few favorites together to try to get it close to like an even odds straight play. That's usually how I like to play it, rather than laying points.
Especially
but Dunny, if we're talking about if I think it's going to be in 4 games, which means the Celtics will have 2 home games, I could see them winning both home games by double digits.
Yeah,
I really could. And also, too, and I say this all the time, and I don't care because you're on the pod, Dunny. Boston fans are so damn spoiled. They're going to be ready to go for both the Bruins playoff series and the Celtics. It's going to be popping there for Game 1. This is not like we're coming in for a playoff game. It's like, all right, we're coming in to crush whoever our opponent is and get ready for the next round. So I think Celtics – not -9 does seem a lot. It's maybe to the point we're trying to get people to take the points. I think Celtics win this pretty easily.
What a time! What's your series? You didn't pick your series?
Celtics.
What's your series? In 4?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got the sweep too. But
Yeah,
there's no way the Hawks are winning it, beating the Celtics.
All right, fuck it. I'm joining you guys. Celtics sweep.
They're not beating. Yeah, Dunny was trying to come on here and be like, "I'm not Celtics biased. I'll say gentlemen sweep." He knew he wanted to sweep the whole time. He just needed one of us to say it.
I will say they impressed the hell out of me.
170 points a game in this season.
They impressed the hell out of you against a team that can't shoot. They shoot. Of course, what are they going to do against Jaylen Brown and Trae Young? Trae Young's great. Derek White's going to be on Trae Young. You better believe that.
Yeah. And then if that doesn't work, Smart. And if that doesn't work, Brogdon.
Oh yeah, that's right, Smart. I think he won that Defensive Player of the Year thing last year. That guards don't win. Yeah,
that's the only thing I will say. I think Trae is going to be in hell in this series.
Oh
yeah,
he's screwed. It's such a good matchup for this.
You asked about -9. I think it's going to be like 130 to 90. Like that's what I will hammer -9.
I will wither away if that's how Game 1 goes.
I'm writing a little blog post to put with this tomorrow, and I did 4. There are 4 series that I didn't bother writing a word about because I'm just like, there's no point in wasting my time, and this is one of them. There's just no point. Like, this is it.
All right.
Where do you want to go next, though? We got 5 more to pick.
Let's go Sixers Nets. Let's go down the line here. The question I'm posing to you two: can the Nets grab 1 or 2 games in this series? I say yes.
I say yes. I think I was telling you guys last episode the series price or the spread was like, I think Nets. I think they were getting plus 2.5 or something. I forget what it was. They had to win 2 games, right? Yeah, it was like plus 134 odds, 2.5 games. Like, they just have to win 2 games. I think they can. I mean, I hate saying this because I hate these stupid storylines when there's nothing to back it up. But Philly in the playoffs, if it's not Embiid cooking, they have fallen up short. And I know Embiid's been great, but the Nets are that one team where they just got a lot of guys who are hungry. The biggest concern is, can Mikal Bridges step up and be the go-to guy in a playoff series, because they don't really have that true star. Dinwiddie has balled in Brooklyn in the past too. Maybe he can be that guy who steps up, and he's done it for him. But it's one of those things. I just think the Nets are like, everyone's counting us out. No one, like, we shouldn't have even been here after these deals. We weren't supposed to even make the playoffs. We're here now. I think they got so much less pressure than the 76ers. The 76ers have all the pressure in the world. They have guys who notoriously have come up short in the playoffs. A lot of guys still got to prove themselves in the playoffs. And you have a city that is just dying to just have a deep playoff run with Joel Embiid, who's been one of the best players in the past 3-4 seasons. Now you go up against a Brooklyn Nets team who's going to play a lot of different guys. They're going to have a pretty deep rotation, would be my guess. And they have a lot of guys who just have no pressure. Just go out there and ball, right? That's what they did in the second half of this year after the deals to make the playoffs. They just threw a bunch of guys out there and said, go out and ball. And they got a pretty good defense, the Brooklyn Nets do. I think they steal a couple games, but Sixers are going to win this series. I think Nets make it a lot closer than I think the public perceives it to be.
Yeah, count me as one of the people counting the Nets out. The other day, I was more bullish on it. If they get 1, I'll give them 1 game because Mikal Bridges deserves a revenge game for how they did him dirty. But I think JoJo is going to average like 37 and 13, and that's what we're going to have here. I think that man's on a mission. I don't think he feels any pressure. And the Nets only 11 and 13 since the trade deadline.
I said this the other day.
Sure.
And I don't know how much it would really matter, but it does suck that the Nets just don't have one big body behind Claxton to bother Embiid, just in the slightest, man.
Just to take fouls, just to eat like 5 fouls in the game or something.
I know the names I brought up wouldn't mean a thing in this series, but like I said, like the last 2 years, the Nets have had DeAndre Jordan and Andre Drummond come and go. Like if they had one of those guys just to give Claxton a breather and come in and burn fouls, grab rebounds, because otherwise I think they match up like decently well with the Sixers squad. They just don't.
What are we getting out of Harden too? Like, who knows? He's been
I like the I thought you were going the other way with it. I like the wing defense on Harden. I like Cam Johnson. I like Bridges. I like Dorian Finney-Smith bothering Harden and Maxey this whole series, but it just comes down to JoJo, and he's you said, like he's gonna dominate.
I think he's just 3 tiers above everybody else, and that's why if JoJo, if he has a bad, the Nets can win 1 game where he has a good game. If he has a bad game, that's where
the Nets can win easy if he has a bad game.
I still like betting the plus 2.5.
Yeah.
I still like betting it. I think for my pick, I'm taking 5 games, but I still like betting it because the Nets, like, Bridges is going to cause a lot of problems for the Nets wings.
The Nets also have shooters up and down their roster.
Yes.
People forget about that. I just saw
maybe I'm just out on maybe Dinwiddie made me mad. Maybe that's what turned me off. Maybe Dinwiddie made me mad going after Kuzma for no reason.
Dinwiddie's a good player, though. He's a good player.
I like Dinwiddie, but he is talking spicy for a guy that's been traded like 4 times in 2 years.
That's fair.
The fact that they have Dinwiddie, Seth Curry, Patty Mills, and Joe Harris in this series. Like they have shooting all over the floor. This year they broke the record for the most threes in franchise history. I think if they can just string together the defense that I know Finney-Smith, Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges and Claxton all want to play, if they can lock that in a night where they're hitting their shots, I don't think it's outrageous that they steal a few games in the series. I won't pick the Nets to win this series, but I think it's going to be a lot more interesting than people think.
So what are your guys' picks then?
I'm going Philly in 6.
Okay.
I'm going Philly in 6 as well because, like I said, I take the series price, so it has to go 6. And it's like I've been really hyping up this Nets team. I just want to believe in them, and Philly just has disappointed so much in the playoffs. I think Philly wins, but I don't think it's as easy as people think. So I'll go 6.
All right. What do we got?
Right. We got Cavs next net.
Oh boy, Jake.
Let's
on.
Go.
Go ahead,
Hold
Jake.
on to
Floor's
your
yours.
seats, folks.
Oh, well. The Cavs and the Knicks is going to be I think it's going to be a Donovan Mitchell statement series. I think that's what the ultimate story is going to be of it. I think there's a lot of things that worry me about this Knicks team as a Cavs fan, as there should be. One being Jalen Brunson and the 3-point shooting. But I do think that the Knicks can only win this series if they're a jump shooting team. They're not doing anything against Mobley and Allen inside at all this series. And they're especially not doing it without Julius Randle. And even if Julius Randle is playing, you guys know I'm not scared of Julius Randle for 7 straight games, especially against Mobley and Allen. So they have to turn into a jump shooting team. They have to get hot. The Cavs, one of the worst defensive teams defending the 3-point line all season long. But I just feel like they still match up decently with this Knicks team. Like Brunson, they're going whatever they've done to Brunson all year, they're not doing in the playoffs. Like they're going to design everything to take Brunson out and make JB's going to take Brunson out and be like, hey, quickly, hey, Barrett, hey, Toppin, you guys have to score 27 on the road and beat us. And I don't think they're going to be able to do that. And then I think Mitchell's going to walk into MSG and want to put up 70 a night. The only thing I'm really worried about for the Cavs is Darius Garland. And this is what I've talked about before this trade even happened last year. We had this conversation. They are now in a playoff series. If I was a Knicks fan and I was watching them play the Cavs in this series, I would be screaming at my TV every single possession that Garland was on the floor that he was not involved in the action in some way, especially with Jalen Brunson on the floor. And that's my biggest worry. What does that do to him? How much can they play him defensively? How much does JB trust him? How much does it shake his confidence? How much is Mitchell going to dominate the ball and take Garland's strengths away from his playmaking and everything? So Garland is my biggest worry, but I think the Cavs are better, deeper. They're going to have some jitters maybe with that first game in MSG, but I think they're going to – I think home team wins every game until game 6. And then Mitchell stomps the Knicks in MSG, gets his nice big moment of the playoffs, and Cavs in 6.
I like Donnie. I think you're being a little too humble for your team. I love the Cavs in this series for a number of reasons. The first reason for this, obviously, no Julius Randle. I know the Knicks are going to have to play small, but they're going to have to do something to figure out how to counter however the Cavs play Mobley and Jared Allen. Now, we talked a little about maybe Obi Toppin stops up, and as much as I'd love that, I love Obi Toppin. We'll see what happens there. Number 2 reason, and this is a big one for me in terms of just kind of the way players will play. Darius Garland, if we remember in the draft, very well could have gone to New York instead of RJ Barrett. It was one of those in his head. Maybe he could have been the guy to go there. RJ Barrett went there, and you look in terms of how they played. Darius Garland's been a better pro than RJ Barrett so far in his career. It's just a fact. Donovan Mitchell was pretty much almost expected like he's going to sign in New York, right? That's where Donovan Mitchell was probably going to go, was New York in the Garden. And now he's in the Cavs. They have a chance to play a series against the Knicks, a team that both of them at some point in their careers, at some point in their life, felt like they were going to be on this team in the Garden. And they got home games. Donovan Mitchell feasts in the Garden. I know Garland not as great in the Garden as Mitchell, but still plays well. And it's one of those things where you look at it and it's like, I don't think they're going to get fazed by the New York crowd. I don't think they're going to get fazed by playing on that stage in the Garden. I really like it. And another thing too, and this is one where I did a complete, not 180 on him, but a big switch. Donovan Mitchell has turned into the superstar in this series. Yes, Brunson's having a fantastic season. Yes, Evan Mobley's had an unbelievable second half. He's really stepped up. Yes, there's a lot of good players on both teams. Donovan Mitchell has been a superstar this year, and he is the superstar in this series. He's the best player by far in this series, and he is going to, I think, really show the world or the NBA world what this guy's capable of. We've seen him do absurd things already this year. Obviously, he scored 71. He had 4 straight with 40 plus in a game. He has carried the Cavs in certain situations, and he looks so much more comfortable on Cleveland in one season than he ever did in Utah. And not only is this a chance to prove himself that he's the best player in the series, that he's a superstar who can carry a team to a deep run in the playoffs, he's going to show, hey, it was not me in the playoffs and the problem. It was the rest of the Utah Jazz that was the problem there. Yep. And I think Mitchell has so much to play for, so much to prove. And I don't even think he's going to have pressure on him because he's just so comfortable in these situations. It felt like all season long. I love the Cavs here, especially with the Knicks. I think seeing Randall being out, it's a chance for the Cavs to just pounce in a spot where A, they like playing in New York, and B, they know they're the better team. Yes, I know the Knicks have played them well, and I get it. Like, you're scared. Sometimes the Knicks will just shoot 33s in a game. But
so that's part of it.
I will take the Cavs. I will take the better player. I will take the better defensive team. I will take probably the deeper team, and I will absolutely take the team that I think has a little bit more to play for, a little bit more to prove in this series. So give me Cavs and a gentleman's sweep. I'll take them in 5.
I'm exactly with you, Steve. I think Cavs in 5. Just honestly, so many of the reasons you just laid out. Obviously, biggest thing, Randall misses, let's call it 2 games. He's expected to miss.
Technically a game time decision Saturday, but I don't think he's playing Saturday.
I would be shocked.
And let's think about this too. When he comes back, like, think about the last couple of times Randall's come back from extended absences.
True.
He hasn't been good. Right? He's a big rhythm guy. When he's hot, he's hot. Mm-hmm. He's had an absence, and this time it was because of an injury. Who knows what it's going to look like when he comes back? And then when he comes back, he has to play against the trees. And I just don't think that fares well for him. Even if he was healthy, I think this is probably one of the worst matchups he could have to go against in the Eastern Conference, maybe outside of Milwaukee, as far as Randall specifically. Mm-hmm. And then I just think Mitchell is a stone cold killer. And although Brunson can be that for the Knicks, he is not even close to the level that Mitchell is.
Can I say something about Brunson? Everybody posted all the highlights of him last year with the Mavs, acting like Luka Doncic wasn't on the court with him.
And that's I was going to bring that up
anymore. Like, what are we talking about?
We don't know how Brunson's going to handle to being the guy in a playoff series. We've seen this is one of my biggest concerns every time. There's some guys we just haven't seen yet. We've seen Donovan Mitchell try to carry a Utah Jazz team.
We've seen him do it in the bubble.
Twice.
Saw him do it in the bubble. Everybody gives Murray all the talk and all the hype for that bubble performance. When if the Jazz beat them in Game 7, we would just be talking the same shit about Donovan Mitchell because he did the same shit in that series. And last year, everybody about Brunson. Well, not last year, but the last couple of years. Last year, Mitchell was bad. But everybody's talking about Brunson cooking him. And I'm just like, what are we talking about? Like, he was on the court with a top 5 guy in the league. Of course, he had to make the shots. He had moments where he carried them in that run. Of course that happened. But let's not act like there's a guy that's comparable on the court with him this year that he's just going to be able to do the same thing. It's not the same. It's not the same. And maybe he can't.
If we see it, we see it. And he's proved us wrong this year in the regular season, right? He really has. I didn't expect him to step up like this. But until we see it, I'm not going to believe it. And I will put my faith in Donovan Mitchell, who I've seen it from already. Because I know Jalen Brunson playing great this year. I know he's improved dramatically. So has Donovan Mitchell. Like I get people are like, yeah, Jalen Brunson's been balling. Yes, I know he's been great. So has Donovan Mitchell.
It's the Knicks.
So has Donovan Mitchell.
That's been cooking for Brunson over Mitchell stuff. It's definitely that New York media that's like.
And Brunson's a great player. I love Brunson. He's a great player, but give Mitchell his flowers. He's the best player in the series. It's not close.
6:00 Saturday night at the Q. Cleveland's going to be
so excited for these playoff series. Dude, I'm so excited.
Yeah, they're going to be amazing, man. So we're all on Cavs here. We haven't had a disagreement in series. I think
there's one coming. I know it.
Yeah, the East was pretty easy. I don't know. I think The West is kind of easy for me too, but let's just get right into it. Grizzlies, Lakers. There's a parade inside my city. Yeah. Where we at with this Grizz Lakers matchup?
Should we let Jake start first?
I just want to say this.
What?
I want to say this real quick first. I had forgot about at the beginning of the season where LeBron just sunned the whole Lakers team after he got fouled hard a couple times, and then they were all like in his face talking shit. And he was like, he basically told all of them to shut up. It's like, I don't want to hear any of that from you guys anymore. Like, I am ready for that in a playoff series, bro.
Bro, listen, all I'm saying is Anthony Davis has been awesome for 30 games. The Lakers have arguably one of the best players of all time who basically only wins in the playoffs. And the Grizzlies have a guy who sued a teenager today. So that's where I'm at. Lakers in 6.
I want to go with you. I really do. And initially, I want to go Lakers. Can I tell you what terrifies me, Jake? Series price right now. Grizzlies are minus 136. Lakers are plus 116. Tell me right now, which Joe Public is not taking Lakers plus 116. Right? Everybody's taking Lakers plus 116. It's crazy that I thought Lakers would be favored. It's crazy. And the Lakers have played so good since the deadline. They really have. And the Grizzlies, there's so many issues. But I'll tell you what. I think this is a 7-game series. I really do. I think this is a 7-game series. Last game could probably be a coin flip, but 7-game series in Memphis is terrifying, especially for Lakers, because the Memphis Grizzlies, as you know, up and down as they can be, obviously the off-court issues, whatever. You obviously have Dylan Brooks, you've got the John Morant stuff, whatever. This team loves playing together, and they want to show how good they are, right? Because we saw it last year a little bit. They want to prove themselves. Yeah, they've been getting humbled a little bit here and there, but this is a team, I think, that's not going to be afraid to back down from this challenge against the Lakers. And I think the Memphis Grizzlies are going to treat it like an NBA Finals, where this is going to be an all-out war. And the only thing that concerns me on the Lakers side of it, will the entire Lakers team treat it like that? I know LeBron will. I know maybe a couple other guys will. But we will I like this to go 7, and then at that point it's up in the air for me. To be different, maybe go Grizzlies here, but it's also tough to envision a series where LeBron doesn't have a chance to move to the next round to potentially go up against Mr. Steph Curry.
My real basketball reason is that without Brandon Clark or Steven Adams, I don't know what they're doing with Davis. Or Braun, for that matter. Yeah. Like Jaren Jackson's awesome. Going to be great. Maybe defensive player of the year, potentially. I know Evan Mobley's got some votes. We saw some league ballots. I don't think he's going to win either. But,
I think Brooks will, yeah.
That's a problem. That's going to be an issue. And those are two guys that are the best in the biz inside the paint. And that's where I don't know. But everything else you're saying, of course, like, it's the Grizzlies are out to prove something. They're always out to prove something. They've always got a chip on their shoulder. I don't know. Schroeder's LeBron's he is mini me basically at this point.
What a shot he had, and then poor Anthony Davis had to ruin it.
Oh my God.
What are you doing?
Remember 12 years ago that like if Schroeder would have missed that shot, Skip Bayless would have come on for his take the next day and been like, LeBron, this is why LeBron's not clutch. Because he passed out of the game-winning shot, and he will never win a title because of this. That's what would have happened like 15 years ago. Schroeder made the shot, so it didn't matter. But I was just thinking back as he hits that shot and they're celebrating. I'm like, man, that man made a career out of this. And before people, I was like, middle school Jake would have been so scared if LeBron passed out of that, knowing that if he missed, the roasting I was going to get the next day was just going to be endless. So thank you, LeBron, and thank you, Dennis Schroeder, I guess, more than anybody. Donnie, who's your pick?
Yeah, Donnie, what do you think? Wait,
did you pick the Grizzlies in 7?
I'm gonna be different. I'll take the Grizzlies in 7.
All right.
I'm going Lakers in 7.
I
think what you laid out about Adams and Clark just not being there, it looks like Adams is going to be out the entire playoffs. Mm-hmm. At least that's what the reports are saying now. I doubt we see him in this series at all, and it just scares me. If Davis can have a big enough series, even, LeBron just attacking the interior, if Rui has, a couple good games here and there, I just think they have the guys at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if Memphis kind of takes over this series, but on paper, it just kind of it feels like LA to me. I think it's going to be tough. I think Bane and Morant are going to make it a hard fought series, but I like Lakers here as much as I hate to say it. I think it's going to be Lakers in 7.
Whew, it's going to be so much fun.
I know this might be the best 2-7 matchup we've had in a while.
It's going to be vicious. You know that this is the series. It's might not be the most electric. It's actually probably going to be some pretty ugly basketball at some points, but it's going to be the most intense. Like game 1, there's going to be a fight. Like Dylan Brooks is coming for somebody's nuts or face in game. No doubt. Who's he picking a fight with? Who's he coming after? I could see
maybe
Reeves.
Schroeder.
Go after Reeves. Schroeder's a hothead.
Shannon Sharp on the sideline again.
Shannon Sharp and T. Are they going to be there? They're going to be facing off.
Oh,
Shannon is definitely going to be courtside, bro.
He will absolutely be courtside for that first game in LA.
This is Sunday.
Just flexing.
I think they haven't announced the schedule. I think this is Sunday 3:30 though, which is even.
Yeah, I don't think they're playing Saturday.
I think your Celtics.
Well, that's in Memphis. That's in Memphis.
Yeah, Celtics Saturday 3:30.
Yeah. LA would be. It wouldn't be what till Thursday.
They're not in LA. Well, I don't know because the schedule, the Cavs schedule, they play Saturday, Tuesday, Friday. Sunday, Wednesday, it's all spaced out. It's so ridiculous.
They love to just throw games around whenever they want when they have this many series going.
Exactly. Let's extend the first round for a month.
Yeah,
and then we'll get to
the schedules are a lot more set once.
I do kind of like it though.
The second round comes around.
I do kind of like it though, where like the first round, like you get the games off, you get the days off, and everything, and then it's like, oh, these are the good teams. Now you play every other day. Like now the grind is real. Like now this is like it is interesting, but yeah, like it takes so long. Sometimes you're looking at like, damn, we gotta wait till 3 fucking days.
2 weeks for the first round playoffs. It's crazy. It's like 2.5 weeks for the first round.
Speaking of, speaking of good teams, these last couple matchups are awesome. Probably my 2 favorite first round matchups, I would say. Kings, Dubs, Sacramento Kings, Warriors, Battle of North Cal. Let's see it. Who do we got? Steve.
All right, guys. Oh,
start with Steve here.
Steve.
I mean, Wiggins is back. That's a huge addition for the Warriors. Wiggins is back is a huge addition.
The first thing he said is Wiggins is back. That's all we needed.
It's a big addition, and the Warriors have been playing well. They can't win on the road, but they're finally starting with a couple games on the road. But there's the thing. It's Steph Curry, right? It's Steph Curry for me against. And I know De'Aaron Fox has been the most clutch player in basketball this year. I know Sabonis is playing like an MVP. Sabonis could be a problem. For Draymond, Wiggins, whoever's guarding, could be an issue. The Kings, they were so much fun. They got to the playoffs. They won the division. Very happy for the Kings. They're a fun team. They can score in bunches, and they can score with anyone. But, guys, it's just I'm playing – like just so basic here. If you're asking me in a playoff series, if I'm taking De'Aaron Fox or Steph Curry, I'm taking Steph Curry. I'm taking Steph Curry over a lot of guys. And I think this is still a good Warriors team. It's not like it's a bad team. They're probably playing their best basketball of the year at this point in the season, which this is a good time to finally start to get hot. You're getting your team back. The Kings are fun. Kings don't play great defense, and I think the Warriors are finally going to be able to take advantage of that. They're going to shoot the ball a ton. The Kings give up a lot of threes. I'll take the Warriors. I think it's going to be a fun series. I think we're going to see a lot of high-scoring games, but I'll take the Warriors in 6. I think the Kings probably get one or two, but I'll take the Warriors in 6.
Okay. Donnie, you want to go?
Yeah. It's boring, man. I think it's Warriors in 5, dude. Yeah. It just sounds disrespectful. Kings being the 3 seed, the beam. I don't. It just
Vegas
feels
agrees
wrong.
with you. Vegas agrees with you. It's minus
You
275.
guys want to
Warriors.
hear a crazy stat,
Christ.
and this is probably going to hold true after this year too. The
Go
Seattle Supersonics have won a playoff series in 2005 more recently than the Kings in 2004, Timberwolves in 2004, Hornets,
That's
or Bobcats.
crazy.
So the Supersonics have won a series more recently than the Kings, Timberwolves, Hornets, and Bobcats, and they have not been a franchise for over a decade.
That's probably going to continue this year.
And that's why I bring it up, because I think it's going to continue. Yeah, I saw the death lineup last year in the playoffs. I saw it firsthand in the finals. I think this team
Who did they play in the finals last year?
you. That's a sneak preview to our final picks right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Steve's landed out on why I'm picking this team to win in 5 against the higher seed.
Here's where I'm starting with this, guys. I was all aboard. I was all aboard the other day with the Warriors. I was like, there's no way I can do this.
Oh, boy.
The season started with the Golden State Warriors with Draymond Green punching out Jordan Poole. That happened.
Yep.
I don't care. And they've had the weirdest year in history since then. They're 44-38. They've been largely disappointing. They're one of the worst teams in NBA on the road, which they'll have to win at least once on the road here against the Kings. They have to go on the road for the first time. I think this is the first time since they've ever been in the playoffs in the Steph era, maybe since way early Steph era, that they've been on the road to start in the first round. I didn't check that before, but I don't.
Yes,
I mean, they were
right.
one seed. They were the 1 seed. They were 73-9. They were the 1 seed for how many years? I think if there's a team that's good, if we're looking at the Raptors the other night, the same thing I was talking about, a team that's about to break up, a team that's been in turmoil. We know that Bob Myers might be leaving. We know Draymond might be leaving. Who knows with Steve Kerr? The Kings, a great roster, deep roster. Mike Brown, who knows the ins and outs of everything that the Warriors do. Probably the worst matchup they could have had coach-wise, a guy that's literally been on their bench for all their entire title run. I'm picking Kings in 7. I'm just going with it. I'm just saying with it. I think I'm picking the Kings just to get ahead of the falling dynasty that could happen in this series. And then Draymond's gone, Bob Myers gone. And all of a sudden we're like, what the fuck are the Warriors doing?
Yeah.
The Kings are in position to do this. They're good enough to do it. I think are the Kings ready for it? I don't know. They could look across and he's not going to stop.
If
We
he's
know
healthy,
he's not
Steph
gonna
Curry's healthy. He's balling.
We know he's going to do what he can do and do everything. I don't know. This is just a purely gut. Because the other day we were talking about it. We were on here. I was like, I was all aboard. I was off the Kings. Couldn't do it. But something hit the other day. I don't know. Lighten the beam in 7. No.
I mean, Kings are a
no
fun
road team wins either. That's what's going to happen.
Oh,
It's straight home all the way through.
Well, we know the Warriors aren't winning on the road.
Exactly.
They got to, Donnie. You haven't win it at 5. They got to win on the road in some games. You got them in 5. They don't have 4 home games.
I'm just hyping up Jake's pick. We all know what's going to happen here.
Warriors in 5. That's probably what I did.
Jake, can we revisit this after game 1 when Curry has like 46 in game 1 against the Kings in Sacramento?
I won't. You know what? Maybe this is more of this as much of anything else is I couldn't look myself and just be like, I'm picking the Warriors. Like, there's no way. Fuck them.
True.
He
also wants the Lakers to have an easier road in the second round.
We also
You're
need
right. To get the Lakers to the conference finals, in my theory, I need them to play the Kings and not the Warriors because the Warriors.
I know.
We needed some adversity on the panel here too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, last matchup in the West: Suns, Clippers. Bunch of offense, great storyline. CP3 against his old team, KD and Russ going against each other again. We saw this week Russell Westbrook was asked about going up against KD. He said there's no bad blood, but he's going to compete. He knows KD is going to compete. Jake, we'll start with you on this one. Suns, Clips. Who you got? How many games? And why is it the Suns?
I was gonna say I'll keep it short and sweet. Suns in 5. I don't think without Paul George.
Yeah.
I know Kawhi. I know that team's deep. I know everything else, but when Kevin Durant's been on the court, the Suns have been damn near. Well, they haven't lost, and they've looked damn near unbeatable. Yeah, I'm going Suns in 5. That's a bolder pick. It might go push out longer, but I do think. Oh, I got to change this up on here. I do think that the Suns could run away with this.
Is there a chance Paul George returns at any point in this series?
Later, I think.
Later,
maybe though.
later.
Maybe they said no one's sure yet.
I'm gonna go Suns in 6. I like the Suns a lot to have a deep run in this playoffs. I think they're a great team. I think they're built great, and it's so tough for teams to defend Devin Booker and Kevin Durant when they're getting fed by Chris Paul. I mean, that's just simple-minded. It's just difficult if you don't have the guys. The Clippers, they're fun. They've been a fun team this year, but defense has really, really hurt them, especially towards the end of the year. And obviously losing Paul George, who's not only one of their best overall players, one of their best defenders, it's tough because then you're playing Eric Gordon, you're playing Nick Batum, like too many minutes in a playoff series. Those guys are good. Like Powell's not covering anyone. Like they're good players, not really great defenders. But I think the Clippers have a lot of guys who can get hot offensively. I think they have a lot of guys who could get hot offensively. Eric Gordon can be a microwave when he wants to. Norman Powell is the definition of a guy who can get hot. And let's not forget they have Kawhi Leonard, who already took a team when he took the Raptors and beat an even better Kevin Durant team in the Kawhi Leonard's a great player. Kawhi Leonard's a fantastic player. There's really no challenge too big for him. He's the best probably defender in this entire series. He's an incredible shot maker as well when he needs to be, and he always takes it up to another notch in the playoffs. So I think Kawhi alone may be able to steal the game. Westbrook's going to have an emotional game where he puts up a ridiculous 20, 18.
The Westbrook KD thing is not the main thing, but it's a hilarious subplot.
It's absolutely
it's awesome.
Hilarious subplot. But at the end of the day, I think the Suns are just too talented. I like the way the Clippers are built. I said at the beginning of the year, they're one of the deepest rosters. I think that's a big thing when it comes to the playoffs. If Paul George was healthy, probably completely different, to be honest with you. I would almost lean the Clippers in maybe what would be an upset in like a 6-7 game series. Suns just have too many options right now, and we've seen a very small sample size of Durant Booker on the court at the same time. But I'll tell you what, the results have been damn near perfect. So I'll take the Suns. I've seen enough from them. Probably 6 games. I'll give the Clippers 2 games. Maybe Paul George comes back at the end of the series and they steal one there. And I think Kawhi just has one of those games where he gets it.
I'm going Suns in 7. I think it's going to be a more hard-fought battle than people are anticipating. I think if there's one guy in the world that could probably try and succeed at some points in a series to give Kevin Durant fits, it's Kawhi Leonard. And Steve, you brought up the biggest thing. I'm huge on depth, especially in the playoffs. I think the Suns have zilch. I hate the Suns reserves. I don't really think, Cam Payne has been a very solid player for them throughout this kind of core that they've had the last 3 or 4 years. But I mean, he's really their only guy off the bench who's serviceable and has proven to be serviceable in playoff matchups. So, and like you said with Paul George, if Paul George was in the series, I'd be taking the Clippers in 7.
Yeah, I think it's a real conversation if Paul George is healthy. Sure. I will say, Dunny, that when Durant was hurt, when Booker was hurt, guys like Okogie, Torrey Craig did step up a little bit, and I think that will help the Suns a little bit with the depth. But I think you're right. If we're comparing the Clippers to the Suns' depth, it's Clippers up here, Suns down here. But that's the biggest thing we've been saying about the Clippers all year. They have probably the best depth in the NBA.
Yep.
They have depth at every single position.
Yep.
I don't think that those guys are bad players either. And I think, is Torrey Craig starting for them now?
He has been. And my thing My thing about the playoffs too is depth doesn't matter to me as much in the playoffs because I'd rather have you play a 7-8 man rotation once we're getting down to the nitty gritty anyway. So like your 9 and 10 man, they're good, cool, but I don't even really want to see you anyway. So like if it was me, like I'd be one of those coaches that just plays 6-7 guys and just like, hey, I want you on the court for 44 minutes in our biggest game. And So that's why for the Suns, for me, it's like, okay, like when you cut it down to those guys, it's easy. It's Durant and Booker. Like it's just there's only one duo in the league that can match up to them. It's done. It's in Dunny City there. Those two guys, literally the only other two that can match up to it at this point. Maybe someday Mobley and Mitchell. That's my dream.
I also think too. I'm glad you said it's Durant and Booker because I've seen some takes where people think that DeAndre Ayton's going to dominate the series. People do not give Zubac enough credit, man.
No,
he is a very solid, very good run of the mill 7-foot center. Like he's gonna bang with Ayton all series, and Ayton shies away when people get physical with him. I think Ayton's one of the more talented fives that we have in this league, but like let's not group him in with Booker and KD for the reason that this series could get out of hand.
KD, bro. Good luck, Clippers. Like I know you have Kawhi, but good luck having to deal with both those guys. And that's the thing we were talking about. If Paul George is here, it's perfect. It's literally what you dream of in a first round series. If Paul George is here. Without that, there's a mismatch on the court at all times if those guys are playing 35 minutes.
And I think too, you brought up Zubac, Dunny, right? Like the Suns just have Ayton. They got Biyombo too, but they just have 8. After Zubac, they got Plumlee. That was a sneaky ad that the Clippers did. Yeah. Plumlee. That kind of helps too because now you don't have to rely on Zubac for 35 minutes. You can play him upper 20s and play Plumlee.
Plumlee's been solid for them too.
20 minutes. And Plumlee was solid before the deal, and he was solid after the deal too. Plumlee's stepped up pretty big time this year. I think them having that where they can rotate in Zubac and Plumlee to just match if Phoenix wants to go with size down low, it works. It's just the big thing for me is just no Paul George really hurts this team.
Yeah, it sucks.
All right, boys, we have to finish up here. No, we got to do one more thing before we leave, before the playoffs start. We got to get them on record. All right, I'll start. I'll take the pressure off of you guys.
Yes. What was this? This epiphany, this miracle that you saw in the lake? What did
honey, I'm just gonna warn you. It's not gonna make you happy. I'm just gonna give you the warning.
I figured either of you guys picks would make me happy.
It will make you happy for a little bit because it will be in Boston TD Garden. This is what I saw. Game 7. I saw the drama, a beautiful series. I saw confetti falling. And I saw Kevin Durant holding the Finals MVP and the trophy at the same time. And I think the Suns will beat the Celtics in 7 games. Suns over Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, as you guys seem to have caught on to. And Celtics over Bucks in 5 games, I think. I think the Celtics will be cruising. Sorry, Dunny. It's just I don't know. It just literally I was just walking and it's what came to me. And it's just Durant's here, I think.
If that happens the way you just laid it out, 13-year-old me will die a fiery death somewhere.
So I said it wasn't going to make me happy. I knew it wasn't. But
this present day me will die a fiery death as well. But younger teenage Dunny, if he had to watch Kevin Durant hoist the trophy in the TD Garden, man, I would. I really hope
7 games.
Steve, all right. Steve's gonna shoot me down right now too.
Well, Steve,
let's hear it, bro.
All right. Well, I mean, I think you guys know the matchup. I think you know the matchup. I didn't have an epiphany, but I did. This is one of my favorite matchups. I've already bet it both ways. I've got Phoenix Suns against the Boston Celtics. I think the Celtics have a nice road in the East, especially now. I think a cakewalk against the Hawks, right? And then the Celtics play either Philly or Brooklyn. They'll spank either of them. I don't care. Meanwhile, you got Milwaukee. It's got an easy first round, but you got the Cavs next, beat up on each other maybe. And then Cavs Milwaukee, which I think will be a really good series. I think that's a really good series. That's a physical series. So either way, I think the Celtics get through the East. I think they match up well against the Bucks, kind of like Jake said. Maybe not in 5, but I think they get to the finals again. Suns, to me, they've shown me once they got Durant and him and Booker on the same time, it's just too hard for teams to defend against them. You need 2 players. You really need 2 guys to stop. And the only other team in the NBA who has a 1A, 1B like Booker and Durant is Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And I'll say this, Tony. I'll say this because I hate it. I There's no fan base in the world that's more spoiled than damn Boston. Stupid Boston. The Boston Bruins got the damn points record. They got the win record. They're probably going to win the Stanley Cup in 16 games. I don't even know if that team knows how to lose at this point. And the Boston Celtics, who have built one of the best teams in the league with probably the best guard depth I think we've seen from a team in a long time. And I say this all the time. College basketball, NBA, WNBA, does not matter. Guard depth is the key for me. You got to have guard depth. And the one big red flag for the Phoenix Suns is they have no bench. And I'll tell you what, Kevin Durant and Devin Booker are not Iron Men. So I hate this. I'm going to eat my words. I hate it. I'm going to throw up. But the Celtics are going to get redemption. I think the Celtics, this is the year that they get the championship. And for Dunny, there would be no sweeter feeling than the Boston Celtics getting the NBA championship with not Mr. Tatum, but Mr. Oh, he should have been traded for Kevin Durant. Jaylen Brown winning the finals MVP over the Phoenix Suns with the player that people thought Jaylen Brown should have been traded for. So I'm taking the Celtics over the Phoenix Suns. And guess what? 7 games. Because it's gotta be. It's gotta be in 7.
Oh, listen. If that's the final series, it's going 7 by hook or by crook.
7 games. I'm taking the Celtics for redemption. I've seen enough. They have everything I like. They play good defense. They have 2 superstars that you can rely on, and they have the best guard depth in the NBA.
Well,
you got depth.
Hold on. You said 2 superstars. They got Derek White. That's a third superstar.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. But I'm saying, you see, now Dunny's all hyped up. But
fire me up, Steve.
Here's the thing. I really do. I truly believe it. I'm not saying this. I told you I bet it both ways. So when the series happens, I'm not going to be miserable one way or the other. But I truly believe that I think the reason that puts the Celtics over the Suns, if it is in an NBA Finals scenario, 6-7 game series, is that depth we talked about. I trust the Celtics bench a million times more than I trust the Phoenix Suns. And they're the only team in the NBA that I think has that 1A, 1B scoring combo that can match up with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. So give me Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to get redemption. Go ahead, Dunny. Say the Celtics are going to win 2. It's over.
Who is it against?
Pick whoever you want. Pick whoever you want. Okay.
That's the real drama for Dunny. So I picked him to lose in the first round. He got him in the finals.
We're getting real revenge.
He needs the revenge.
None of this Phoenix Suns bullshit. We're dragging Curry back into the TD Garden, and we are getting what is rightfully ours. Okay. Draymond is going to put up career low numbers in a series against the Boston Celtics. And the Celtics will win in 6, and they will win the NBA championship against the Golden State Warriors. Book it.
I'll tell you what. If Celtics and the Bruins win championships here, I'm not talking to Dunny.
I placed bets. I can't.
It's not happening. Taking the summer off.
I will be insufferable. I'll probably get fired by Trainwreck Sports.
I did not place any winning. Only bet I based to win a championship was the Cavs, because obviously
their odds are outrageous.
Plus 4,600. I put $2 today. It's like to win 98 or something ridiculous. But I do have that Celtics Suns matchup. So Dunny, once they get there, I'm not against them. That's what I did for you. I'll switch over just like before. But I also have a Bruins Oilers matchup, which I will be rooting for very heavily.
I like that.
That is what I think's coming.
All right, folks. You just
there's the NHL pick too, baby.
Yeah.
We give you everything here.
I hate that Boston's probably gonna get 2 more championships. Makes me sick.
Title town, baby.
Not sure. I'm logging off. Just had to.
And you picked them.
Yeah, I know. I picked them.